Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.
And welcome, everybody, to Sports on Tap. This is the high school football recap show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. You got to hear about him and all of our other tremendous sponsors right before the show. Make sure you stay tuned during the course of the show and after the show from a word from Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance and the rest of our sponsors. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Professor Hype, Sean Duffy, Dr. Hoops, Noah Jacobson, and Josh Jeffy. We are here. The regular season has ended. And 10 weeks up, 10 weeks down, and it felt like it just started yesterday. And now we are in playoff mode. Last week we had a pretty good discussion about what your favorite team need to do to get into the playoffs or get playoff positioning. This week we will discuss the fruits of that labor. How did Week 10 shake out, and where your team is going for the first round of the playoffs. So to give her a little bit of run of show here, we will be going through our recaps of the Southwestern Conference, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Suburban League, and the Cleveland West Conference. If we have time, we'll start going through the regions. We're covering, I believe, 6 regions we have coverage of for all the teams that are involved in our from our various conferences. We will be interviewing also quarterback of the undefeated Menor Cardinals, Scotty Fox. He is a West Virginia recruit commit, and we'll be talking to him about the Cardinal season and really about his career. He's been a 4-year starter, and which is rare for us to talk to someone that has had that ilk, especially in the Division I level. We will go over the Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week poll as well, and then we will wrap up with whatever regions we have not covered yet. As you can imagine, we have a lot to get to with Division I, Region 1, but we also have Division 2, Region 5, Division 2, Region 6, Division 3, Region 9, Division 3, Region 10, and Division 4, Region 14. So that's what we're doing tonight. It may go a little bit longer than our normal 90 minutes, but I can promise you that the content, again, you're not going to get this kind of analysis and breakdown anywhere else. With all due respect to the various coverages, to the various newspapers and websites, you're going to get the best coverage right here tonight with all these respective regions. So with that, let's get started right away. We are going to go into the Southwestern Conference as we normally do with Rob Troutman. Rob, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate that. Great job, as always. And let's go to Week 10, and we'll first start off with Berea Mid-Park. They traveled to Elyria, and the Titans, they were led by running back Justin McConnell. He had an unbelievable day, helping the Titans get back-to-back wins with a 34-21 win. Justin McConnell had the Titans' first touchdown. The Titans led at half in this one, 13-7. He also had 3 touchdowns in this game. But Elyria, they would score on a touchdown pass from quarterback Antonio Pride to wide receiver Ja'Cory Bradley. And give the Pioneers credit in this game. They really hung around a long time and showed what their offense can do. You could tell they were starting to feel comfortable in this game. And it's been a long year for them, but they've come a long way, especially in this game. Titans running back Justin McConnell, he would score the first 3 touchdowns for the Titans. But again, like I said, in this one, it was the Pioneers that hung around and did move the ball. As the Pioneers running back Levi Springer had 2 touchdowns for the Pioneers. But again, Berea Mid-Park held on for a 34-21 win. There were other touchdowns in this game for the Titans, one on defense, and it was Mason Zahersky. He had a 30-yard fumble return, and wide receiver Tyson Clay got a 6-yard pass from quarterback Danny Bowser. And really in this game, Berea Mid-Park got up by a little bit, and Elyria hung around but just couldn't get back at it. For the Titans, it was running back Justin McDonald. And he was the Southwestern Conference Player of the Week nominee, the Raymond Felton State Farm Player of the Week nominee. And I made a mistake when I sent over the stats. He actually had 28 rushes for 183 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game. He also had 4 rushes for 4 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. For the Titans, it was quarterback Danny Bowser. He had 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. And for Elyria, it was quarterback Antonio Pride, 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Levi Springer for the Pioneers had 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, Berea Mid-Park, they improved to 3-7, 2-5. The Pioneers 0-10, 0-7. Berea Mid-Park 34-21 winners. All right, let's move on in the Southwestern Conference as Midview traveled to Olmsted Falls, right down the street in another big rivalry. And the Bulldogs, they were led by running back Owen Singleton, who really took the Bulldogs on his back to a victory in this one. He had 24 rushes for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quarterback Jimmy Rossell had 83 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and only 2 passes in the game for Olmsted Falls. For Midview, it was quarterback Cody Martin. He had an 80-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Camden Scott for the only Middies touchdown in this one. Ethan Morris, again, what a year he's having. The kicker for Midview, he kicked a 47-yard field goal for the Middies. And give Olmsted Falls defense credit in this one. They held Midview in check all night and get a 31-10 win in this game. Olmsted Falls improves to 7-3, 4-3 in conference, as Midview falls to 5-5, 2-5 in conference. North Ridgeville versus Amherst, and thought this was going to be a really good physical game, and it ended up being that. North Ridgeville linebacker Brett Leinerth picked up a fumble and returned it 89 yards for a touchdown, and that was on Amherst's opening possession. That really set the tone in this game, as the Rangers defense knew they had to stop J.R. Byers and Cole Norris, the quarterback for Amherst, from running the football. And Coach Morgan said luckily their strength is to stop the run, and that's exactly what they did, as they stacked the box. And Amherst also tried to do that versus North Ridgeville, stop the run, but Zach Barnhart still scored 2 touchdowns, which brought his total on the year. Listen to this, 20 touchdowns on the year for running back Zach Barnhart of North Ridgeville. And North Ridgeville did what they had to do in this one. The defense really stymied Amherst's offense, who only put up 7 points, and it came on a lone touchdown when quarterback Cole Norris hit wide receiver Cale Charles. But North Ridgeville in this game wins 26-7. And for North Ridgeville, they improved to 8-2, 5-2 in conference. Amherst falls to 6-4, 3-4 in conference. Now the big rivalry, Avon versus Avon Lake. And this game got out of hand pretty quick, as Avon led at halftime 35-10. Avon held the Avon Lake offense to 78 yards in the first half. So give the Eagles defense credit. They also had 5 sacks in this one. Only one more Avon touchdown in the second half. And the Eagles win big in this one, 42-10 to cap off their undefeated regular season. Avon quarterback Nolan Good, he had 298 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He rushed for another 47 and a touchdown. For Avon Lake, their lone touchdown was a quarterback Alex Afalter to wide receiver Aiden Stewart for 23 yards. And Avon, they win the SWC, and they stay undefeated with a 42-10 win. Avon will continue a 27-game regular season game winning streak next year, as their last regular season loss was in 2022 versus Glenville, which the Eagles lost 27-21 in that game. Avon has won the last 8 rivalry meetings with Avon Lake, in the 9th straight year they either shared or won the SWC championship. That coming from the Chronicle Telegram. They do a great job on their coverage there. So great job with some of those stats and interesting facts there. So the SWC Raymond Felton State Farm Player of the Week is Berea Mid-Park running back Justin McDonald. 28 rushes, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, had 4 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown in the win over Elyria. Just an impressive game for them, and they get their back-to-back wins. Give Elyria credit, though. They played very well in that game and hung around. So a good, a season that might look from obviously the wins and losses like they struggled, but you see the development throughout the year. Now let's look as we go to, I'm not sure, are we going to show the schedule for the playoffs in the Southwestern Conference, or are we going to wait to just go over those?
Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll do that during the regional breakdowns.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, Rob, from your great job as always, and great job this season with the Southwestern Conference. Just to remind what we can do though, out of your teams, who clinched the playoffs and what seed they are and where they at.
All right, well, let's go with Avon. Avon right now, a big win, obviously, in the regular season. They wrapped up the number 1 spot. And here I can show actually the Division II Region 6 bracket as I talk about it here. North Ridgeville wrapped up number 4, and then it was Avon Lake at 7 and Olmsted Falls at 8, Amherst right at 9. So you see a lot of Southwestern Conference matchups there. And the 8-9 matchup that's going to be interesting is Olmsted Falls traveling to Amherst. So that's going to be, or actually Amherst traveling to Olmsted Falls there. But Avon, there it is. Or they'll face North Olmsted. Is North Olmsted 5-5? They got some wins and really have come a long way as they'll host North Olmsted, and Avon gets a home game. And how about North Ridgeville? They get a home game as they moved all the way up to number 4, and they're going to face Toledo Start 7-3. That's going to be an interesting game because Toledo Start a very impressive team there. Avon Lake getting the loss against Avon, but they face St. Francis de Sales. They're another 7-3 team, but they get the home game there against St. Francis de Sales. So some big games there, and also we can go to Division I, Region 1 that has Berea Mid-Park. You know, they win 2 games. Their last 2 games, they face a tough Lorraine team, and they're going to travel for that one. Lorraine 9-1 on the season, had some really good wins. They're very athletic, a good team. That'll be a tough matchup, I believe, for the Berea Mid-Park Titans. And lastly, we have a big game with Midview as they are going to face Padua in I think they're Division III Region 10 as that's going to be a tough one as they travel to Padua. They're both 5-5 teams. Midview the number 10 seed, Padua the number 7 seed. So Midview gets in, and they've improved a lot this year. Let's see what Coach Armstrong can do in the playoffs as they travel on the road. But Midview, I remember their last playoff. Actually, the one I went to was North Olmsted, and it was a 40-something to 50-something game, and they lost that game a few years back. But Midview's playing a lot better this season. I think that's going to be a great matchup there at Padua.
All right, Rob, good job. We will get more into the regions as we progress with the show. For now, let's keep it rolling here. Let's shift over to Noah Jacobson with the Greater Cleveland Conference. He also has one of our featured games of the week.
All right, thank you, Ed. And we kick off Week 10 in the Greater Cleveland Conference. Detroit Cass Tech, the Technicians out of Michigan, they were traveling down to Medina to take on the Bees. And a game was played in this one as Detroit Cass Tech would completely dominate the Bees 40-0 on the road. Medina quarterback Keeson DiUlio was 16-27 for 89 yards. He also did have 17 carries for 49 yards. Wide receiver Max Myers had 6 catches for 49 yards as Medina will drop their last game of the regular season 40-0. They lose to 2-8. They are still 1-5 in the GCC as they end the regular season. They sit at number 14 in Division I, Region 1 in the playoffs. And then moving forward, Menor was traveling down to Euclid, and Coach Gray was probably telling his guys, we just won the GCC already, but we're already playing for an outright. And they completely dominated the Euclid Panthers on the road, 51-14. Running back Jackson Farley had 3 touchdowns in this game. Quarterback Scotty Fox, who we're going to have on the show coming up, he had 2 touchdown passes. One of them was to Grant Cerny and Marcus Serpatowski. Logan Nosura also had a touchdown in this one. And then the Cardinals' backup quarterback, Rogan Jones, had a touchdown pass to Marcus Serpatowski, who would have his second touchdown. And then Menor's defense had 2 safeties in this game. Give the defense a whole lot of credit for completely dominating the Panthers. For Euclid, they did have a pick six and a passing touchdown in this game, as Menor will get the outright conference title in the GCC and would go undefeated at 10-0 to complete the regular season as they completely dominated the Euclid Panthers 51-14. Euclid improves to 10-0, 6-0 in the conference, and won the GCC outright. Euclid drops to 2-8, 1-5 in the GCC. Metter stands at the number 1 seed in Division 1, Region 1. And then this was the Battle of Lee Road on a Saturday afternoon between Shaker Heights and Cleveland Heights. And this was kind of a close game affair, as Shaker Heights would have many opportunities to try and come back in this game, but Coach Stevens and his team would go the rest of the way to get this win, 54-35 over the rivals. Marquise Stewart Davis, he had 35 carries for 257 yards and 5 touchdowns in this game. He wraps up his regular season with 1,671 yards and 23 touchdowns. That just says it all how great of a player he is for Coach Stevens and his team. Sandale Jackson had 6 total solo tackles, 4 assists, 3 QB pressures. He did have a fumble recovery for a touchdown in this one for the defense. And then Elijah Harris picked up a loose ball off of a bad snap from the Red Raiders and took it 73 yards for a touchdown in this one. And then Asher Wilson found Landon Pohl for a 54-yard touchdown. Quarterback Shakir 80 for the Red Raiders. He had 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. His 2 passing touchdowns were for Cameron Jackson, who would have 2 of them. And then Cornell Beard had 2 rushing touchdowns in this one, as Cleveland Heights would get a 54-35 win over the rivals from Shaker Heights. Cleveland Heights finishes the regular season at 6-4, 4-2 in the GCC. They are the number 8 seed in Division 1, Region 1. Shaker Heights ended their season with 3-7, 1-5 in the GCC. And then, last but not least, first time experiencing this rivalry, as Rob, Josh, Ed, you've experienced playing this game so many times, and it was a pleasure for me going down to the Battle of Boston Road between the Brunswick Blue Devils and the Strongsville Mustangs. What a great start to this one, as Kendrick Bodie would have a touchdown in this one to give the Mustangs a 7-0 lead with 5:39 in the first quarter. And then Brunswick's kicker, the junior kicker, Vincent Diatoro, would have a field goal to give Brunswick on the board 7-3 with 3:13 in the second quarter. And then with 14 seconds left to go, he would not his second field goal from 37 yards with 14 seconds left to go in the second quarter to get the halftime deficit down to 7-6 Strongsville. And then on Brunswick first drive, they had an opportunity to score a touchdown on this one, but Coach Cole Carter would decide to go with his all-reliable kicker, Vincent Diatoro, with his third field goal of the game from 26 yards out to give Brunswick a 9-7 lead. And it was kind of a back-and-forth affair between these two teams trying to add another score. But it wasn't until Strongsville quarterback Nolan Beard found Alex Espe 77 yards on one play to give the Mustangs a 13-9 lead with 7:41 left to go. And they give Strongsville's defense a whole lot of credit on the next drive. They really stopped Sean Barnett from hopefully leading them to a game-winning touchdown drive to give Strongsville the ball back. And then they just kept timing the ball. But it wasn't until Sam Demakia, their reliable running back, would score a touchdown with 31 seconds left to go in the game to give Strongsville a 19-9 win over the rivals. This was the first time Strongsville beat Brunswick since 2018, and they finished with a winning record for the first time since 2018. That just says it all when you have a new head coach like Jason Trusnick come in and change the program after they had gone 3-8 the last 2 seasons. What a big win this was for Coach Trusnick and the Mustangs as they win 19-9. Strongsville proves to 6-4, 5-1 in the conference play. They sit as the number 8 seed. They will host a playoff team coming up. Brunswick drops to 3-7, 3-3 in conference play. They sit as the number 13 seed in Division 1, Region 1. And then if you wanted to check out our post-game interviews, I talked with Coach Jason Trusnick and their 2 players, quarterback Nolan Beard and Storm Miller, who I interviewed back in week 3 and week 6. You can check that out at our website at sportsontap.podcast.com. As Strongsville would beat Brunswick 19-9. And then our playoff positionings coming up, if you want to go over that, Ed.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just going to note the team, the team, the region, and the seed. All of the Greater Cleveland Conference teams that made the playoffs did qualify in Division One, Region One. The number one seed, as Noah mentioned, is the Menor Cardinals. We will be talking to Scotty Fox later about that. The number 8 seed is the Strongsville Mustangs. The number 9 seed, the Cleveland Heights Tigers. The number 13 seed, the Brunswick Blue Devils, and the number 14 seed, the Medina Bees. So those are the 5 teams that qualified from the Greater Cleveland Conference. Unfortunately, Shaker Heights and Euclid did not qualify out of Division 2, Region 5. So Noah's gonna get a good breakdown of Division 1, Region 1 with a little bit of help from myself and Rob here in a little bit. Noah, great job. I'm glad you were able to get down to a Brunswick-Strongsville game. Unfortunately, not the way we wanted it to go, but congratulations to Coach Trusnick and the Strongsville Mustangs on a very successful regular season. And for Coach Carter, obviously disappointment, but nonetheless, Coach Carter, I will tell you from experience, he gets the rivalry. He's all about it. He did have some former players come talk to the team on Thursday before during the team meal. One of us may or may not have been one of that group. But it was I think it's going to set up a pretty good rivalry. Kind of reset the rivalry with 2 new head coaches who are really not as familiar with it from the playing side with Coach Carter and Coach Trusnick. So I think that's going to be it's going to kind of bring the luster back to Brunswick-Strongsville for years to come. So great work, Noah. Appreciate that. And with that, let's kick it over to Josh Jeffy and Sean Duffy. They're going to go over the Suburban League Natty American Conferences, and as we usually do, we will start with the Natty. Go ahead, Josh.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. Yeah, another exciting week. Very exciting week in the Natty. We're going to start off with Nordonia. They played Brecksville. Nordonia get back on the winning ways, really getting that momentum going into the playoffs. Nordonia actually started this game with a defensive score. Jordan Bird recovered a fumble and returned it 55 yards. For the Knights, they have the early lead. Ben Chester would throw all 4 of his touchdowns in the first half. And at halftime, the Knights had a 42-6 lead. Chester finished the game 12 of 19 for 187 yards, including a 62-yard touchdown pass to Kylan Ospe. Ospe, who had 70 yards, also on the ground rushing, so he had a solid game. Brecksville got some scoring from Nate Henniger. He had 2 touchdown passes. Jacob Oterovich also added 85 yards, 85 yards on the ground on 20 carries. But the Bees just didn't have enough to really go after Nordonia. Like I said, the Knights' defense was the key to starting this game with their defensive score. They actually held Brecksville to only 145 yards of total offense in this game. Like I mentioned, Nordonia had they really had a good solid victory in this one, building momentum for the playoffs with this 49-13 victory. With the win, Nordonia finishes the regular season 8-2. They have a 5-2 record in the Natty. Brecksville finishes 3-7. And they finished 3-4 in conference play. Stowe ended the 2024 regular season with a 45-28 victory over Twinsburg. The Bulldogs had their rushing game going in this one, and Twinsburg had trouble stopping it. As a team, Stowe totaled 312 yards rushing, led by Caden Boyd. He ran the ball 17 times for 135 yards and 2 scores. Quarterback Jake Harrington had 43 yards rushing and 4 rushing scores, all from 5 yards and within. He also added 140 yards through the air. For Twinsburg, Jolie Pollock had a hand in all 4 Tiger touchdowns. He ran for 2 scores and then threw 2 other touchdowns to Rob Herndon and R.J. Ruffin. After the playoff run they had last year, Twinsburg did fail to make the playoffs by finishing with a 3-7 record, and they only won 1 game in conference. They finished 1-6 in the Natty. So a little disappointing if you ask Coach Salter, but I'm sure what they have going and have building, they'll be back strong next year. Stowe also did not, qualify for the playoffs. They finished 3-7 as well with a 2-5 conference record. Now, guys, before I get to the game of the week, which was Solon and Hudson, we got to talk about one of the most shocking games that we had this week. Now, North Royalton and Wadsworth, for those of you who don't know, that game happened. It was pretty shocking. But earlier last week, the Suburban League voted to allow for the possibility of North Royalton winning a share of the conference championship with a victory over Wadsworth. The reason being their conference schedule was a little uneven, to the point where they didn't play Solon this year due to a scheduling conflict. So instead of playing seven conference games, North Royalton only played 6. So the league allowed them to, if they did win, they could win a share of the conference championship. And did that provide some incentive for North Royalton? Well, it may have. But in this game, both teams were evenly matched in the first half, despite Wadsworth holding a 22-10 lead. Like I said, both teams this game was pretty even. In the second half, the Bears scored 20 unanswered points to take a 30-22 lead early in the fourth quarter. Then, with the score tied at 30, the Bears took the lead at the 6:09 mark on a 1-yard run by Grady Ball, his second of the game. Wadsworth answered back when Bryson Hall hit Calix Lemp, a former guest on the show, from 50 yards out, tying the game at 37 with 4 minutes and 29 seconds left in the game. The Bears then went on an historic 80-yard drive that ended in a Mannix Wasco 13-yard touchdown run that will be remembered for a long time. The score sealed the victory and a share of the conference championship for the Bears. Now, according to the Medina Gazette, North Royalton joins the 1983 Revere squad as the only team since 1949 to win at least a share of the conference title despite a 500 record. North Royalton has now won 4 games in a row, and their 5 wins have come all in conference play. Some stats from this game, because there were some pretty outstanding stats. We're going to start off from the Wadsworth side. Quarterback Bryson Hall, who's been kind of struggling, in my opinion, the last few games here of the season. He finished 10 of 20 for only 189 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Gray, though, was the workhorse, 38 rushing attempts, 216 yards, and a touchdown. Jacob Ernest also had 2 rushing touchdowns in this one. And like I mentioned, former guest Calix Lemp had 3 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. For Royalton, Joe Kinney, 13 of 21, 272 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Joseph Calarco had a huge game for North Royalton, 8 receptions, 210 yards, and 1 touchdown. Grady Ball had 17 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. And the man who had the game-winning touchdown, Mannix Wasco, finished the game with 26 rushing attempts for 176 yards. Guys, what a game this was. Wadsworth, their undefeated season came to an end as they lose this game 44-37. Wadsworth finished the season 9-1. They were 6-1 in conference play. North Royalton finished 5-5, but they were 5-1 in the Natty. And these two teams, we'll talk about here momentarily, we'll get to know each other again here very shortly. The final game in the Natty was one of our SOT feature games of the week. I made my maiden voyage to Solon. Great atmosphere there as the Comets hosted the Hudson Explorers in a rivalry renewed. Solon tried to continue to gain positive momentum as they were looking to make a run for the playoffs. Hudson was looking to avoid their second straight loss. They lost the previous week to North Royalton. So they're looking to get back on the winning ways. The Explorers got on the board first when Nathan Judy scored on a 1-yard run. Solon would then scored 17 unanswered points with touchdowns from A.J. Jefferson and Christian Nelson, as well as a 45-yard field goal from Carter Winte, making the score 17-7 at half. That score would stay the same until the 8:36 mark in the fourth, when Hudson kicker Brad Masela connected on a 38-yard field goal. That pulled the Explorers within a touchdown at 17-10. The Comets were able to knock 5 minutes off the clock with a long drive that ended in a Jack Sanders touchdown run. On Hudson's next drive, Solon's Braden Springer would intercept his 3rd pass of the game and returned it to the 2-yard line, setting up the game-sealing touchdown run by Jack Sanders as Solon cruises to a 31-10 victory over Hudson. With the win, Solon improves their record to 3-7 and actually gained their first conference win of the year. Hudson drops to 5-5, 4-3 in the conference. And just talking to Coach Brian Wisniewski of the comments after the game, he's really liking the positive momentum that this team has now, making the run into the playoffs. And they will be venturing on to Week 11 in Division II, Region 5. They are going to be the 14th seed. Hudson in Division II, Region 5 is the 9th seed, and Nordonia will be the number 3 seed in Division II, Region 5. On Division II, Region 6, there's 2 more Natty teams that didn't make the playoffs, and it's a rematch of probably the game of the week in the Natty. Wadsworth is the 5th seed. North Royalton is the 12th seed. So a lot of fun things happening in the Natty. These are the games, the reason why the Natty is the Natty. But Sean, I know you had some exciting games over in America. I'm going to toss it over to you, and we'll see what happened there.
Well, Josh, thank you so much. As wild as it got in the Natty and the America, things kind of settled up pretty clean. It's pretty clean in the American division right now. We'll start off as Cuyahoga Falls traveling to take on Barberton. Neither of these teams have actually qualified for postseason play, but that didn't stop the Magics from demolishing Cuyahoga Falls 49-6 at home. Barberton quarterback Jackson Hanlon threw 2 touchdown passes in the game. Quarterback Aiden Tritt also threw a touchdown pass. Those touchdown passes were to Ethan Key, Mark Tavanello, and Terrence Davis, who each recorded a touchdown reception. Ethan Key on the defensive side of the ball also returned a pick 6 for a touchdown. Barberton running back Sean Wright kicked in with 2 rushing TDs, and Angelo Grotto had 1 rushing touchdown in the game. Again, as I mentioned, both Cuyahoga Falls and Barberton have failed to qualify for the playoffs as their 2024 seasons come to an end. Cuyahoga Falls finishes the season 2-8, 0-7 in the conference. Barberton finishes their season 2-8, and 2-5 in the division. Next up, we have Copley traveling in to take on Talmadge, and Talmadge ends its season with its 3rd straight win with a 31-0 home victory over Copley in Week 10. The Blue Devils were able to control the game on the ground with a running back by committee. Running backs Mike Spencer, J.D. Canizar, and Ricky McLean each scoring touchdowns for the Blue Devils. Ricky McLean carried the ball and the rushing attack for Talmadge with 15 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown on the night. Defensively, the Blue Devils got a pick 6 from James Robinson to add to their total of 31-0. Both of these teams did make the playoffs, but Talmadge needed this win to clinch a playoff. They ended up getting the 11th seed in Division III, Region 9. Copley, having last week secured a playoff position, they are the number 8 seed in Division III, Region 10. Kent Roosevelt traveled in to take on Revere, and Revere got a much-needed win, 17-7 over the Rough Riders of Kent Roosevelt, as the Minutemen will head into the postseason. Revere quarterback Luke Ferris connected with wide receiver Aaron French for the only 2 touchdowns of the game. Revere kicker David Kennedy also chipped in with a 25-yard field goal in the second half to ice the game for the Revere Minutemen. Revere, having already clinched a postseason berth, will move on to a playoff matchup against a very familiar opponent, as they are the number 9 seed in Division III, Region 10. Kent Roosevelt unfortunately finishes the season 2-8 overall and 1-6 in the American division. They did not qualify for postseason play. Now, moving on to our 3rd and final spotlight game. You know it. You love it. It is the Suburban League American Division Championship game featuring the undefeated Highland Hornets coming in at 9-0, 6-0 in the conference against the undefeated Aurora Greenmen, 9-0, 6-0 in the conference. The whole season had been building to this, and guys, it did not live up to expectations. I will tell you this right now. This was a statement game made by the Highland Hornets. Before we get into the stats, before we get into the highlight reels, we gotta make this caveat, guys. Aurora came into this game without their best player. Lucas Manderbach was on the sidelines with a knee injury. He did not play in this game, and as soon as he was out, the Highland defense made life a living hell for the Greenmen running the ball. The reason I say this, according to the Akron Beacon Journal, who do a fantastic job of covering the Suburban League, the Highland Hornets held Aurora to 1 rushing yard in the first half. 1.
Yikes.
This is a team that averaged over 200 yards per game. Do you know how many yards they had by the end of the game?
2.
14. Close. 14. This was a fantastic display by Highland all night from the start. Aurora quarterback Ryan Dwyer did finish the game 19 of 31, 176 yards, and 2 interceptions. Both of those interceptions leading to touchdowns. The Hornets recorded their 5th shutout of the year. In perhaps the biggest stage, they came out to play on both sides of the ball. Casey Miser, the perennial pick. This guy's a beast. He runs hard. He runs violent. A couple of the things that I saw, he when he hits you, you know it. You know it. He finished the game with 24 carries, 215 yards, 2 rush TDs, adding to that historic single season touchdown record that he broke last week or 2 weeks ago. Quarterback Dylan Borla was efficient throwing the ball. 3 for 3, 98 yards, and a beautiful touchdown pass to Evan Faust, who had 2 receptions. 2 of those 3 receptions from Dylan Borla. He had 76 yards and a touchdown. Garrett Phillips also had a rush touchdown for the Hornets. Highland, with this win, sole possession of the Suburban League American Division champion. This is their second league championship in 3 years, guys, and they were looking for revenge from last year, and they certainly took it out on Aurora. Aurora's got to bounce back, guys. From what I can tell, I don't think they're going to have Lucas Manderbach going into the playoffs. As he was walking around, he did not look healthy, and they got to sort it out. There was just no momentum for Aurora. They just looked a little bit discombobulated, but I give all that credit to Highlands defense. They were on a mission that night. There were not any extra yards, any passes that were completed. They were right down on the thing. It was a fantastic game. If you're a Highland fan, it got awfully quiet on the Aurora sidelines awfully quick. and you know, I tell you who was the most fired up about this, and I've never seen this coach this fired up. Coach Mike Gibbons was fired up at the end. I got a glimpse of what it's like to be coached by Mike Gibbons because I wanted to play next week where Highland's playing because he was ready. And all he talked about was the work and how good of a team Aurora is and how great of a win that is for the Highland Hornets. As I mentioned, both these teams are well positioned in their respective divisions and regions. Highland with a number 2 seed in Division 2, Region 6, but Aurora with the loss drops to number 4 in Division 3, Region 9. That Division 3, Region 9, we'll talk about it later on. Looks like a meat grinder. So does the Division 2, Region 6. But guys, I came into this game really expecting a kind of a shootout, maybe one of those immovable objects, irresistible force. And really, I came away saying, hey, man, if I'm Avon, I'm hoping somebody does my dirty work to take out Highland, because if Highland plays the way they did against Aurora, ooh, buddy, we could have ourselves an opportunity for a regional final if it plays out the way we hope it does come 3-4 weeks from now. Oh, our Suburban League Player of the Week nominee, as mentioned by Josh. Listen, you get your team a piece of a championship with a game-winning touchdown, you get nominated. So congratulations, Manik Wasco. 26 carries, 176 yards, and a touchdown, the game-winning touchdown. Also, very efficient passing. He threw a pass, completed a pass for 25 yards. He also caught a pass for 13 yards. He pretty much did everything in the game. So, I mean, obviously, his bona fides are there. But I'm just saying, it was a very impressive performance. Congratulations to the North Royalton Bears. Guys, that's all I got from the American Division. Back to you, Ed.
Very nice, Sean and Josh. Great work on the American and the Natty. Just to recap for the Natty and the American in Division 2, Region 6, Wadsworth is the number 5 seed. North Royalton is the number 12 seed. They will do battle once again. In Division 2, Region 5, Nordonia is the number 3 seed, Hudson's the number 9 seed, and Solon is the number 14 seed. Nordonia and Solon will be doing battle again. In the American, Highland with their American Conference Championship. They are the number 2 seed in Division II, Region 6. Aurora, the Suburban League American runner-up, still no slouch there. They're the number 4 seed in Division III, Region 9. Talmadge, with their late season run, they are number 11 in Division III, Region 9. Copley is number 8 in Division III, Region 10. And Revere is the number 9 in Division III, Region 10. All right, that is what we have for the Suburban League. Great job, guys. We'll come back to you here to talk about your regions here shortly. For now, let's go to myself. Let's talk about the Cleveland West Conference. And this had already been decided last week pretty efficiently by Buckeye. They just need to really formalize some things with their battle here. So we will start first with Bay versus Rocky River. And I'll tell you what, Bay, they've been knocking on the door for a little bit, and Rocky River has shown some chinks in the armor, if you will. Ryan Taylor, of course, coming off of injury, but Bay would not be denied here. Charlie Rogers started scoring with a 6-yard touchdown run. And then Rockets junior running back Rocco Hereditario went bonkers. He had 4 touchdowns, covering 1, 5, 6, and 1 yard out. 4 touchdowns for Rocco Hereditario. Rocky River, they were able to cut the deficit to 7 points multiple times. They just could not catch the Rockets. Pirates junior quarterback Ryan Taylor, he was 11 of 17 passing for 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Bay also picked him off twice. Senior running back Cam Balkowski, he led the Pirates rushers with 6 carries for 62 yards. And senior wide receiver Orrin Grieve, he had 4 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. But add it all up, Bay gets a 35-21 victory over Rocky River. With the win, Bay improves to a 6-4 overall. They finished 4-3 in the Cleveland West Conference. They are number 5 in Division 4, Region 14. They clinched 1 home playoff game in that region. Rocky River finishes 7-3 overall, 5-2 in conference play, leaving no doubt for Buckeye there. Rocky River, they put some work in earlier in the year, though. They finished as the number 4 seed in Division 3, Region 10. If they win, they will get 2 home playoff games. All right, let's go to North Olmsted and Westlake. And North Olmsted needed this one to get into the playoffs. The Eagles left nothing to chance. They took it to the Demons quite efficiently. North Olmsted, they scored 35 points before Westlake got on the board, and they locked up their spot in Division II, Region 6 with a 35-14 victory over the Demons. Matthew Chalkwater had 2 rushing touchdowns. JVM Pierce recovered a Chalkwater fumble going into the end zone. Chalkwater probably should have 3 touchdowns, but he decided to let one of his lineman friends get the glory on that one. Tommy Horsfall threw a 34-yard touchdown pass to Mitchell Kurtz, and Michael Passafiumi with a 91-yard touchdown run to get the scoring for North Olmsted. Westlake got a couple of late scores on a 69-yard touchdown pass from Sam Busheri to Charbel Rita, and Seth Eagle also fumbled, recovered a fumble and got a touchdown there. Matthew Chalkwater, he finished with 14 rushes for 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, could be 3. Michael Passafiumi, he had 4 rushes for 129 yards and a touchdown. And from Westlake, Charbel Rita had 4 catches for 119 yards and a touchdown. Westlake, they finished their season 2-8 overall. They were winless in conference play. The Demons finished number 20 in Division II, Region 6. North Olmsted, they improved to 5-5. All 5 of their wins in Cleveland West Conference play. They finished 5-2 in the conference. They are the number 16 seed in Division II, Region 6. I say they squeaked in, but when you look at the standings, they cleared number 17 by a pretty good margin. But nonetheless, getting a victory to really seal the deal there was very helpful for them. And North Olmsted qualifies for the playoffs after starting the season. Definitely not the way they wanted to. So congratulations to North Olmsted. All right, Buckeye took on Lakewood, and Buckeye, their defense just has been absolutely phenomenal this year. I'm not going to put it on the same level as a Highland defense quite yet, but they're getting pretty close from the Division III side of things. They complete the undefeated season, an undefeated conference season, and they are the undisputed champions of the Cleveland West Conference. The Bucks rushed for 190 yards. They also passed for 190 yards. So flip a coin, they got it the same way either way around there. Senior running back Troy McCann hit 18 rushes for 140 yards and 4 touchdowns, just continuing to add to his all-time touchdown record for Buckeye. Junior quarterback Turner Delata continued his path, 7-9 passing for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm not sure Turner Delata has passed the ball more than 10 times in a game yet. I sense that will change in the playoffs, but for now, that offense is running exactly as Coach Denson wants it to. Senior tight end Trey Weidenmeyer, 2 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Romy Kettler, 2 catches for 63 yards. Jacob Snyderbird, 1 pass for 43 yards. Nolan Klingbeil caught a 23-yard touchdown pass. Great work by the Medina Gazette on this one, by the way. Buckeyes defense, they gave Avery Holt a lot of problems. 2 interceptions, 3 sacks, several tackles for losses. Lakewood did get a touchdown from Manny Serrano, a 5-yard rush, and a 7-yard touchdown pass from Avery Holt to Jalen Chappell. Both those fine student athletes wrapped up their season in their careers for Lakewood with a touchdown pass, and it is only right that those two threw the ball. It had the battery going that way. Holt finished his last game 14-22 passing for 180 yards. Chappell finished his last game of his career, 7 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. Lakewood finishes their season 4-6 overall, 2-5 in the conference. They finished number 18 in Division II Region 6. Their season is over. Buckeye improves to 9-1, 7-0 in the conference. They are the number 2 seed in Division III Region 10. They have clinched a possibility of 2 home games. Valley Forge took on Normandy in the Battle of Parma. The Patriots took no prisoners here. They jumped out to a quick 21-0 lead behind 2 touchdowns by Cam Wadsworth and a 16-yard touchdown pass from Sean Frank to Damon Watts. Normandy quarterback Elijah Gray, he answered with a 12-yard touchdown pass to DQ Bradley to cut the lead to 21-7. Valley Forge then countered with touchdown runs by Sean Frank and Damon Watts to push that lead back up to 35-7. Gray scored twice more for the Patriots, but that was not enough. Valley Forge gets a 42-28 victory over Normandy. Patriots senior running back Cam Wadsworth, he rushed 24 times for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Damon Watts, the junior, rushed 19 times for 174 yards and a touchdown. He also caught a pass for 19 yards and a touchdown. So there's a lot of futures bright for Damon Watts in Valley Forge for next year. Valley Forge finished their season 4-6, 3-4 overall. They were number 17 in Division II Region 6. Normandy, they fall to 3-7 overall, 2-5 in the conference, but they are in Division I Region 1, where there's only 18 teams at, and because of that, they do qualify for the playoffs. They are the number 12 seed in Division I Region 1, so their season will continue. So with that, that is it for the Cleveland West Conference, and the qualifying teams out of the Cleveland West Conference are Normandy in Division I Region 1, the number 12 seed. North Olmsted, the number 16 seed in Division II Region 6. Buckeye, the number 2 seed in Division III Region 10. Rocky River, the number 4 seed in Division III Region 10. And Bay, the Division 4 Region 14. They are the number 5 seed. All right, gentlemen, that does it for the Week 10 recaps. The Cleveland West Conference Player of the Week nominee for the Raven Fountain State Farm Insurance player poll is Matthew Chalkwater from North Olmsted. A big game there to get his team into the playoffs. So he is a senior. So quite honestly, I gave it to a senior. Rocco Reditario and Damon Watts. Your time's coming next year. I promise you that. When you guys are jumping on, when you guys become seniors. But that's what we got there. Scotty Fox will be joining us in about 10 minutes. I think we have time to go through a region here. Division I, Region 1. That might take a little bit, but I think let's roll into it here. So Sean Duffy, as he normally does, he put together a really, really good PowerPoint for us here. And we're going to break down Division One, Region One here, which will be a great lead into our guest, Scotty Fox here. So those are what the matchups look like here. And Noah, I'm going to take the lead on this one because the majority of the teams are from the Greater Cleveland Conference. You got a little bit of help from me and Rob in there as well. But for now, take it away. You have four matchups, one of which is a rematch from earlier in the year. So take a look at the bracket and tell us what your thoughts are, Noah.
Well, Menor will be taking on St. Ignatius for the second time this year, and this was a rematch from the playoffs again last year, which St. Ignatius beat Menor. So again, the same kind of factors in the playoffs. It could go either which way, but again, this is a great rivalry between two great schools going at it once again for the second time this year. Is how can St. Ignatius respond in that to this high-powered Menor Cardinals offense as averaging 40 points a game? And can Coach Gray and Scotty Fox really did what they did against the Wildcats in week 2? That's going to be the big question coming out of this one. And then Medina just sneaked into the playoffs at the number 14 seed. They'll be taking on Perrysburg. Can they match up against Perrysburg very well? That's going to be the biggest question. And then Brunswick, they'll be traveling to Massillon Jackson, who co-shared the conference with Canton McKinley in this one. Can Coach Carter challenge Massillon Jackson in his playoff debut for the Blue Devils? And then last but not least, this was the game that I covered back in week 7. Coach Stevens versus Coach Trustic, they meet once again in this one. Can Marquise Davis have the type of performance, even though they lost the game to Strongsville, can he still have that type of performance like he did against Strongsville? And can the defense really this time dominate quarterback Nolan Beard, who did have a great game, and Sam Demakia? Can Cleveland Heights' defense really rise up to the challenge who lost to them against Strongsville in this one? That's going to be the biggest questions coming out of this week in the GCC for Division I Region 1 coming up.
That's a good point, Noah. I'm looking forward to the Strongsville and Cleveland Heights matchup again as well, because now you have a pretty healthy Marquise Davis, who Coach Stevens admittedly said that he's pretty much saving them for the stretch run, and he has been coming out like gangbusters in the last few weeks. I think he's rushed for pretty much all of his yardage in like 4 or 5 weeks, and he's taking no prisoners. So that's going to be a different element that Strongsville didn't have the luxury of preparing against, or maybe not preparing against, but playing against in the game when they last locked horns there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to shake out. Brunswick, Massillon Jackson. Brunswick's going to have a tough one here. Massillon Jackson plays in a very good federal league. Not to say that Brunswick doesn't have their own tough conference, and they've played pretty well. They played tough teams, and they picked up a lot of steam at the end of the season there. But Massillon Jackson's not an easy place to play. Medina and Perrysburg, as you mentioned, Noah. Perrysburg's got a lot of firepower. They score a lot of points, and we'll see if Medina can keep it close. And then obviously Menor and St. Ignatius. We'll get Scotty Fox's thoughts on that here in a little bit. What I like about St. Ignatius, as long as they got into the playoffs, they were going to be a tough draw for anybody, and let alone a Menor Cardinals team. Now, there's a team that's very well equipped to take them on. It's going to be Menor. They've already beaten them this year, and these teams have played each other pretty regularly throughout the last 5 or 10 years. I think this is going to be a really good game. St. Ignatius is 1-9, but that's because they play a really tough schedule. In state, out of state, but Menor's got the athletes. They got the team that can match up with them. So we'll see what happens in the Greater Cleveland Conference. Rob, Berea Mid Park takes on Lorraine. So talk about this matchup. What are you looking for here?
But no, I think it's actually a pretty favorable matchup for Berea Mid Park. Lorraine obviously has some athletes, and they've played some good teams. They got a good win against Sandusky earlier in the season. They're 6-4. Their big games, though, actually was last week away at Maple Heights. Maple Heights is a 7-3 team. It was a 34-32 game. Realistically, a big win at home against Bedford, who was 5-4 this year. But if you look at their schedule, a lot of the teams are under 500. But they took care of business. Other than their one loss came to a 3-7 South team. So for Berea Mid Park, they had some really tough early games, non-conference games this year. Not to mention in the Southwestern Conference, in which they really never got blown out, other than and maybe by Avon. But realistically, they were in every single game this year for the most part, and they had some close losses. But in this game, Berea Mid Park has been playing better. They won their last two. And obviously that Olmsted Falls win to me was almost like them getting prepped for the playoffs, because Olmsted Falls is a really tough team, and Elyria got better as the year went on. So I think this is a really good matchup for Berea Mid Park. Lorraine is a really good team, though. They have playoff experience. Let's see what Coach Hunick does. Justin McDonald has had a great year, and Danny Bowser, the quarterback. Their offense can put up some points, and their defense has played well the last few weeks. So let's see if their defense can contain this athletic Lorraine team.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Rob. I think it is a favorable matchup for Berea Mid Park because of exactly everything that you said. There's no need to repeat it. So we'll see if Coach Hunick can go to Lorraine, get a win there, and we'll see what happens in the potential 3-14 matchup between Perrysburg and Medina. The last matchup here we'll discuss before we take a quick break and talk to Scotty Fox. Normandy, the number 12 seed, the Invaders, will travel to Tom Benson Stadium, what we used to know as Fawcett Stadium, to take on the Canton McKinley Bulldogs. And obviously, Canton McKinley needs no introduction. They're one of the winningest programs in Ohio history, probably high school history in general, in the national scope. McKinley plays a really good schedule as well. They took a few, they split the Federal League with Massillon Jackson. They took a tough loss to Massillon Washington, otherwise known as the Massillon. The other loss is to Avon by a count of 14-20, like 21-14. So Normandy's got their hands full. Now they do have Elijah Gray. Elijah Gray is one of the best quarterbacks in the area. If DQ Bradley can stay healthy and some of the weapons that they've been able to utilize to try to spread out and keep the ball away from the Bulldogs, Normandy can keep themselves in this game. I think it's going to be tough sledding for Normandy, quite honestly. But you know what? Anytime you get to see Elijah Gray play a football game as a Normandy fan, take advantage of it. He's a special kid, and I'm happy that he's going to be able to get to perform on a big stage like this at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Not a whole lot of high schoolers get the opportunity to play there, so that's a real treat for Normandy to get to Canton McKinley and play the Bulldogs. And you gotta play the game still. So weirder things have happened. The Browns beat the Ravens, for heaven's sake. So if that's not an indication, then I don't know what is. All right. That is Division I, Region 1. A couple of the other matchups here. Defending state champion St. Ed's, they will take on Findlay. Toledo Whitmer will host John Marshall. So those are the two games that do not involve our teams. They're St. Ed's. They're a number 7 seed, Olean seed alone. They are the team to beat until someone beats them. And no one's been able to do that in the last few years in Division 1. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hopefully have Scotty Fox, senior quarterback from Mentor, the 10-0 Mentor Cardinals, join us on the show. We'll talk to him about the St. Ignatius game. We'll talk to him about his career and the Mentor program, as always. And then we will go through the Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week contests. And then we got 5 more regions to break down. Division 2, Region 6, admittedly, is going to be very, very heavily Sports on Tap themed. That'll probably be the longest recap that we do out of all the ones that we have left. But it's a lot of good information, and we look forward to talking to you about it. Stay tuned. We'll take a quick break, and we'll see you here in a few minutes.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.
Welcome back to the high school football recap show here at Sports on Tap, presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. You got to listen to about information about Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance, along with the rest of our tremendous sponsors. Stay tuned at the end of our show to get another word from our sponsors. I didn't mention this earlier because I was really excited to get to what we need to get to, but you are watching this on our YouTube channel, Sports on Tap. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are on X at SOT Podcast. Facebook at Sports on Tap, Threads at SOT_podcasts. Of course, we're on Spotify, Sports on Tap, and our website is sportsontappodcast.com. Send an email to us for comments, questions, suggestions, or improvements to sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. All right, we went through the Week 10 recaps already. We already covered Division 1, Region 1, and that leads us into an interview with one of our student athletes. This is Scotty Fox, the four-year starting quarterback for the Mentor Cardinals. The accolades are out the window. I don't think I have enough time to talk about them, so I'm not going to mention them. But I think if you read a newspaper every once in a while, you know how special he is. Scotty Fox joins us from Mentor. Scotty, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you guys for having me. Excited to be here.
Excellent. Well, we won't keep it too long, and we know you got a big game to prepare for with St. Ignatius coming up here. Before we get to that, let's talk about this season up to this point. last year, last few years, haven't been the best of Benner. Even though I know when you first came on, you guys had a pretty deep playoff run. But this year, special year so far, 10-0. Talk about the season, some of the players that have helped that have really gotten you guys to where you're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, just going off of last year, we were a really young team. Yeah, and that really helped, going into this year because now we have all the experience, and a bunch of guys back, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, I'm super blessed to be a part of this team, and it's super fun playing with all the guys. But yeah, the offense, we got a bunch of guys back. I'll just go by receivers. We got Austin Van Huss. He was the starter for us last year too. He got some time as a sophomore. Justin Hodge, he also actually against Medina his freshman year. So my sophomore year, he got some playing time. He's been great. We got Grant Cerny. He's been another 2-year starter for us. And then he's been great too. And then Marcus Supertowski's now back. I've been playing the last probably 5 weeks for us. It's been great. Yeah, so I just love playing with those guys, receivers positions, just slinging it out there. They're great. Just they make my job look easy. Um, and then, the two running backs we have, Jackson Farley and Don Burns, they're doing great. Finding holes. They're not just good on the ground, but, especially on checkdowns and routes. I could shoot them the ball, they're going to make stuff happen. And then our O-line, we got Landry Breedy, Jabril, McClendon, then we got McWillie, Ben McWilliams. We got Burke Demirci and then Colin Pritchard. And then Amari Bradley, Jojo LaDuca. Those guys, they're doing great up there. We battled some injuries in the past couple of weeks. But the guys did a great job stepping up. So yeah, we're 10-0 right now. Just got to keep rolling and gonna have a good game plan for Ignatius this week.
Scotty,
I mean,
go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
I was just going to say I had an opportunity to watch recently your game against Strongsville at home, and what I was really taken aback by was not so much your guys' ability, because you guys had threats all over the field, but just the command that you specifically have over that offense. And just I feel like after 4 years, you could probably coach this offense a little bit better than some of your coaches, given how much you've had to study it. Can you talk a little bit about, how comfortable you are in the system compared to, say, last year, even the year before? And does that give you even more confidence, especially going into a playoff game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been in the system now for 4 years, so it's kind of just I got it really ingrained in my brain, just like all the plays and schemes and all that. But yeah, Coach Gray and Coach Lewis, we went over film, pretty much every day in the off season, leading up to this year. So yeah, now I really know, what they're thinking, what I'm thinking. So we're just right on the same page. Yeah, so it's great. Like, the game plans, we're on the same page with everything. We communicate well. So it's been super fun.
Scotty, thank you for taking the time and joining us tonight. And it was great covering you guys back in week 4 against Medina. You guys as an offense have been averaging 42 points per game. That's unheard of when you have guys like Austin, Justin, and Marcus. I get called the Legion of Zoom. And then there were 2 running backs, Dominic and Jackson, the dynamic duo running back. But I want to talk about how the offensive line has really paved the way for you guys to score all these points, like 42 points per game. That's unheard of for a team like you guys are having this year. But just kind of talk about what has it been like playing with those guys, and just kind of talk about how the offensive line has been really helping you guys out this year with the points that you guys have performing this year.
For sure. I mean, they're amazing. Like, I only got sacked, I think, 2 times this whole year, and one of them was on me. It was 4th down. I was rolling out. I took a sack. It was really stupid. But yeah, so really only one time I got sacked this whole year, and it's really amazing. Like, just the tight group we have, especially them, in the run game too, the pass game. Like, they're everything. Without them, I'd be nothing. Team would be nothing. Yeah, they're really everything. So it's really amazing. Have a great group of guys up in front of me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's great.
Yeah, and Scotty.
Scotty.
Go ahead, Josh.
No, you go.
Okay. Hey, Scotty, you've been in the system for 4 years, like you mentioned. From when you were a freshman, I mean, how tough was it to be a freshman and start right away? Did you have any guys, that were seniors or a little bit older than you, really take you under the wing and kind of develop you as a player and as a person? It's not easy, obviously, as a freshman at Mentor. You don't see a lot of freshmen getting in there. Obviously, you guys have been younger the last few years, and you guys have done a really nice job. Obviously, you guys have developed into 10-0 this year, but as a freshman, it's easy to get nervous. Did you have any players or anybody you looked up to that took you under the wing and said, hey, let's calm down and you kind of put you under their wing and develop you a little bit and give you that confidence?
Yeah, 100%. A bunch of guys took me under their wing, especially as a freshman. Like, it's kind of hard, being 14, being with 17, 18-year-olds. But yeah, I mean, the guys, they were great, especially, a couple names to throw out is Nick Jarris. We're still great friends to this day. Jordan Stapleton, still great friends to this day. Brandon Ryan, still talk with him. He's staying in town. Benny LaDuca, he's still in town. Still see him sometimes. I haven't seen who's it? Evan Harper, Mikey Norwood. They were a big part. We were at the field throwing. Jacob Snow, he's actually playing ball at Slippery Rock right now. Yeah, and a bunch of other guys too. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's kind of hard being, a 14-year-old being with 17, 18-year-olds. But yeah, those guys definitely took me under the wing. Like I remember going to Canes with them, before in the week. That was really awesome, especially being so young. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was really awesome. I'm still really tight with Jarrison Stapleton. So yeah.
Very cool. And
Yep.
good shout out to Canes there.
Yeah,
What,
no
what,
doubt. I actually just built one in Menor, I think about a year and a half ago. So we go there after every game.
Nice.
Nice.
Got to do
And
what works.
I can
Cane
confirm
sauce
that.
is awesome.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
can confirm because your boy stopped on the way home after that game, after that Strongsville game, picked something up. And it was great.
Yeah, no doubt.
Scotty, I'm curious. When the season ends and you go 10-0, pretty much everything went right for you. And some of us have experience being on a 10-0 team in Division One, way far back. But there's something special that goes along with that. So, during the off season, whether it's even in the springtime or going into summer camp, when did you realize as the leader of this team that this team has something special, that there's something to it that this team can do some things and make some noise, especially in playoff time?
Really, like in our lifts, like we'll start. Last year our season ended early in the first round of playoffs, and then I think a month after we started our lifts, in the weight room after school, and I kind of realized like I was kind of looking around. I kind of knew before since we were younger the year before, kind of looking around, just seeing the guys like how we work, how we interact with each other, how close we are, just kind of like realizing like we have a shot to be pretty good. Um, but yeah, I kind of knew from then, and then yeah, from there, especially the work ethic, like all winter, all spring, all summer, like we just work like crazy. Um, so I kind of knew, but yeah, it was just really in August, just kind of putting it on the field together. Yeah, so just stuff like that, and I kind of saw and I realized how good we can be, and we're not done yet, so we're still trying to work to get better every single day during practice. So yeah.
Talk with Mentor senior quarterback Scotty Fox. Scotty, you guys were taking on St. Ignatius in the first round of the playoffs, and for a lot of other teams, if they were to see St. Ignatius in the playoffs, despite their record, we all know that they're better than 1-9. But your Mentor's uniquely situated in the case that you guys have seen them probably more than your conference opponents in the last 3 or 4 years. Now, mind you, you've seen different iterations of St. Ignatius over your time, and you saw them once earlier in the year. But talk about the preparation for a team like St. Ignatius without giving too much away about what you're doing this week. We don't want you to do that. What is it about preparing for St. Ignatius? Like what, just overall, what do they do well? And what are some opportunities there or what have you seen over the last few years with you playing against them?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, despite their record, they had a really tough schedule, and they're a really good team. No matter what, every time we play them, it's really going to come down to the last wire, last part of the game. It's always a battle against them. They're a great team. Um, but yeah, over the years, they've always had good players, good skill. So, we really have to have a good game plan coming in. And I think we got, a great game plan this week about taking some advantages of, what they're giving us. So I'm really excited and, yeah, just ready to get after it.
Scotty, before the season began, you committed to play quarterback for the future at the Mountaineers of West Virginia. What a big honor that is, especially the way you've been playing this year and the last 3 years at Mentor. But just kind of talk about what's it going to be like playing quarterback at West Virginia, and how awesome is it going to be for you?
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like, I'm just super blessed to be in the position I am. Yeah, and I'm super excited, to go to a great program, to, great campus, great area, not too far from home. So I get to see, mom and dad, here and there. But yeah, so I'm just super, super excited to get down there. I'll be leaving here in January, go early. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm sure
Nice.
mom and dad are going to probably be up there more than they're going to tell you about. They'll probably be at every game, so you won't have to worry about that.
Yep, they already told me, but right now is focus, just keep going to the playoffs, and then
Yep.
worry about all that stuff after. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Hey, no doubt, and one of Brunswick's own finest, Tomas Remack, will be there to make sure, hopefully, to keep you protected and upright.
Sure.
We're
For sure.
looking forward to seeing that. All right, Scotty, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight. Good luck to you in the Mentor Cardinals this week against St. Ignatius, and for the rest of the playoff run. And obviously, good luck to you. You don't want this to end anytime soon. But if we don't get to talk to you before you go off to West Virginia, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much. So, thank you guys for having me. It was fun talking to you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you
Scotty.
too.
Thanks, Scotty.
Scotty.
Thank
And
you.
it is Scotty Fox, senior quarterback of the Mentor Cardinals, joining us, taking time out of his preparation for the St. Ignatius Wildcats. It is a rematch of a Week 2 battle that was won by Mentor 20-14. And if we know anything about a Mentor and St. Ignatius battle, as Scotty mentioned himself, they always all come down to the wire. There is not normally a situation where both those teams blow the other one out or really gains a huge advantage. So it's a 1-16 matchup only in seed. Just the way the seeds fell. This is a game that could very well be a regional final, a state semifinal, or even a state championship game if these guys were in separate regions. That's how good these two teams are. So we're looking forward to seeing what the Mentor Cardinals will do to keep the Greater Cleveland Conference going, and as part of our coverage unit there. All right, let us shift over to Rob and Josh. Josh, our EVP of social media content, of course. Let's go over the Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance Player of the Week polls. They will go over who the nominees are and who the winner will be. Take it away, guys.
All right, thanks, Ed. Yeah, the poll just ended a little bit ago. My timing was on point this week, so getting back into the habit of that one. But so our final poll, Raymond Felton State Farm Player of the Week nominees were Matt Chalkwater of North Olmsted, Mannix Wasco of North Royalton, Nolan Beard of Strongsville, and Justin McDonald of Berea Mid-Park. And proud to say, boys, but the Natty took it home. A whopping 62% of the vote. The Suburban League, the winner of the final Week 10 Raymond Felton State Farm Player of the Week goes to Mannix Wasco. And guys, let's be real. We talked about in our chat. We have to give props to North Royalton. They did something that not a lot of people thought they could do. And Mannix Wasco had a great game, including the game clinching touchdown with less than a few minutes left in that game. So congratulations to him, and thanks to everyone for voting all year long. Thanks to Raymond Felton State Farm for sponsoring our poll. Much success, and we've gotten some messages from past players that have received their care packages for winning the award, and that's gone over real well. So looking forward to that, bringing that back next year in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance again for the prize packages and for the sponsoring not only our show but this version of the Player of the Week as well.
Yeah, also got to throw out there real quick, Ed, the Mako Apparel Company
Yes.
really provided the Player of the Week T-shirts as well. Did a great job on those. So we really appreciate them coming on board too as a sponsor.
Absolutely, good call there, Josh. So congratulations, North Royalton. Not only do they win a share of the conference, they also get a Player of the Week winner out of the deal there. They're getting as much runway out of this Week 10 win as they possibly can, as they move on. So as we the last Power 10 will also be coming out this week. I will, in the interest of because no one's really had a chance to talk to us about it, I'll mention just a few things. Number one, Avon, and again, until they lose, they're number one. That's just it's what it's going to be. No one's going to overtake them. Highland, obviously, Highland and Menor. It goes Menor than Highland. Very, very obviously undefeated seasons there. Congratulations to them. Aurora is I believe they had them as the top one-loss team, and that's really more by virtue of their loss to Highland. Wadsworth fell a little bit because of the loss to North Royalton. North Royalton came from literally nowhere to number 10. You win the conference championship, you're in the top 10. That's just how it goes. That's how I do. That's how we do things here at Sports on Tap. You do get rewarded for winning your conference. It doesn't matter what your record is. But they are tied with number 10, Olmsted Falls. I will say that Olmsted Falls is just they're pretty far ahead of them in the rankings, so I couldn't justify bumping Olmsted Falls down. But that's where North Royalton kind of skyrocketed themselves up with that. All right, so we're going to talk about that game here soon. Let's get back to the regions here. Division 2, Region 5. We don't have a whole lot of influence in this one. This is mostly a Suburban League run here. So let's go to. Actually, this is all Natty, isn't it? So
it is, yeah. Three teams from the Natty, and We'll start with the number 3 versus number 14 matchup. This is actually a rematch from Week 4. The number 3 seed Nordonia takes on the number 14 seed Solon. And in Week 4, Nordonia defeated Solon 45-7. I have a hunch that score is going to be a lot closer this time around. Nordonia is just playing solid ball. They are led by Ben Chesser, Rocco Di Lorenzo. The running game for the Knights is what keeps them. And has powered them through the whole season, along with their defense. Their defense is stellar. But Solon has come along a lot lately, and they're finally healthy. They have a young team. Jack Sanders, the quarterback, is only a sophomore, but he is definitely leading this team. Braden Springer on the defensive end has 9 interceptions this year. 5 have come in the last 2 games. So they are, as I mentioned in my recap earlier, they are really starting to play their best ball at the right time. So that is going to be I feel it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a good game. And the score that they played, or the game that they played in Week 4, is not indicative of what this game will be like. The other game that has natty importance to it is the number 9 seeded Hudson Explorers. They will travel to Youngstown to play the number 8 seeded Youngstown Boardman. Hudson, seeing them live last week, their defense played solid. They really had 3 costly turnovers, and give credit to Solon's defense. They really didn't allow much to happen for them on offense. But Hudson lately, they've lost actually 2 games in a row, 31-10 to Solon, and they lost to North Royalton the week before. Up until then, they were playing solid ball, kind of getting back to the Hudson that we know how they could play. But I'm torn in this one. I don't know what Hudson team we're going to see. You got to feel that their playoff experience in the past is going to suit them well as we get started in the playoffs. But you know how these 8-9 games go. They could be a really good game, or it could be blowouts. I mean, obviously, that I sound like Pat Shurmur there, but yeah, it's going to be important for Hudson to really limit the amount of mistakes that they made, and to get something going on, with the running game, and even get Nathan Judy going a little bit on that play action, getting him to get some throws too. I'll be honest with you, I was a little taken back by how, Solon, how they played, and how Hudson couldn't respond to them, especially late in that game. So hopefully for Hudson, they'll be able to come out and play well and establish the run game, and get an important playoff win on the road.
Quite honestly, if they can take out Boardman, I think three of us would personally love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not big fans of Boardman.
No kidding.
This is despite the fact that I married someone from Youngstown, but she knows all about that. She doesn't care. She doesn't care, but it's still a sore spot for me, and I still had 2 years after that. So that was what trip down the memory lane there. Josh, just real quickly, Walsh and Hoban live in this region.
Right.
Let's see, Painesville Riverside, they're an 11 seed really in name. The last few years they've had a lot of success, but they only went 4-6 this year, and they have to go to Green. That's not an easy place to play. Lake and Hoover, that's a rematch of a game 2 weeks ago. A very close game won by Hoover, 18-17. Then locally, Mayfield has to go to Austintown Fitch. Good luck to Mayfield. You go to Austintown Fitch, it's like the Twilight Zone down there. Things don't go right for teams that aren't from Mahoning Valley down there. But I think if Nordonia can get past Solon, because Solon has been playing really well, see if they can. Mm-hmm. We'll see what they can do. Green in Painesville Riverside. If it eventually comes to Hoban, Hoban would be the team that's standing in their way. But Walsh and Hoban are just. It almost seems like they're on another level. And Walsh has a victory over Hoban. Yeah.
Yep. They played. It was 1914. Walsh had the victory. This Walsh team, some out there consider this the best team in the state of Ohio. Looking at this bracket, you tend to believe that all roads lead, through Walsh. And in order to win anything, you got to get through them, and that's not going to be an easy challenge.
No, not at all. And the thing with Hoban, which is a little bit different than we've seen in the past, they have two quarterbacks. Former Brunswick quarterback Ethan Roxanich is more of the running quarterback, and then they have another quarterback who kind of takes the passing reps. So Coach Terrell's been he's kind of mixed and matched depending on the matchup and depending on where he gets the advantage at there. He hasn't needed to do that in years past because for one reason or another, but you have to think that once playoff comes, we'll see if he commits to a quarterback or if he continues to ride this out and see what style gives him the better chance to win. So we'll see how that shakes out. They'll have a pretty good warm up against Akron Firestone in the first round before things could get a little more interesting with a battle against Uniontown Lake or North Canton Hoover. All right, great job there, Josh. Let's shift over to Division II, Region 6. There is a lot going on here. A lot. So, Rob, let's start with you because you have 5 teams out of your region, out of your conference here. We got some natty influence. We do have, one of the best teams happens to be in the American, so we'll get Sean in on this. I will just simply start by saying North Olmsted, they have a really good defense. They really do have a good defense. I just don't think they've seen anyone that has the firepower of Avon. Now, North Olmsted's come on as of late, and they're a field goal away from being 6-4, and maybe have elevated their seed a little bit and kind of maybe jolting a scare into one of these other teams. But, Coach Brediger and North Olmsted, they're not going to be afraid of Avon. I can guarantee you that. It's just Avon is just so good. They're so good.
Yeah, they're deep. I mean, they have weapons all over. Well, you know what? You're right, Ed. I mean, their defense has been good, and let's talk about the positives with North Olmsted. They've won 5 out of their last 6 games. and what started off as an 0-4 team. I mean, North Olmsted has definitely gained confidence, and Coach Brediger said before the year that they were changing the offense up. So something changed against Normandy when they put up 28 points. Because they only had 7 points versus Buckeye, 7 points versus Amherst, and they were blanked, in their first few games. So something changed there. But they're playing a lot better. Avon is just deep, and they haven't had a lot of close games this year. Other than Glenville was a close game in the monsoon-like conditions, and Canton McKinley was a close game. They pretty much handled Ignatius, and they handled in the SWC. So they're just a deep team. They have weapons from all over, whether it's running the football or throwing it. We know they have many good wide receivers. And Nolan Good's not afraid to dish it around. So their offense has weapons all over, and you have to really contain them and make them work for it. Can North Olmsted do that? Maybe they can. They have some confidence going into this game, and Coach Brediger has been around a long time. So is Coach Elder. So we'll see how that matchup goes. North Ridgeville getting Toledo start. This Toledo start team, at 7-3, they lost their first 2 games, and then they lost to a 10-0 Anthony Wayne team, 48-12. So they have lost some games, but they won their last 5 in pretty much dominating fashion. So you could tell they're starting to hit their stride. Their last game versus Lima Senior. Lima Senior's a 9-1 team, and they beat them 48-20. So right now Toledo starts riding on a high. They're the 13th seed, but they're a pretty good team. They did face, a decent amount of under 500 teams, but they got the job done. That's going to be an interesting matchup. North Ridgeville at home is very tough, and they've played very well this season. So North Ridgeville, too, a team that can run and pass, and their defense has been pretty stout. So that should be a good matchup there. And then the number 7 versus number 10, Avon Lake, has been a team that is, obviously they lose to Avon there, but they've won 5 out of their last 7 games. They beat North Ridgeville, who's in the playoffs, 12-10. Their defense has really clamped down on some teams, and they got a big win in double overtime against Olmsted Falls, who are in the playoffs. So they have faced some really tough teams, did Avon Lake, and they got going a little bit. Now St. Francis de Sales is 7-3. They lost to a Perrysburg team in week 1. Perrysburg's in the playoffs. And they face some really good teams this year, Clyde, but they have lost 2 out of 4 games in their last 4. So let's see what they can do against St. Francis de Sales. Not a bad game to open up with, especially since you're at home. So Avon Lake's a tough place to play at home. Can they get a win here in week 1? And then Olmsted Falls, the 8 versus 9 matchup, and these are 2 teams very familiar with Amherst. Olmsted Falls, they hosted Amherst earlier in the week, or in the year rather, and they dominated 44-13. They took really Amherst out of the game by stopping the run, and it seems like you can stop the run. You want to face Cole Norris. Cole Norris can pass the football, and that might be what they have to do in this game. If you can open up with a good passing game against Olmsted Falls, there might be some different offensive weapons that open up for Amherst. When they can pass the ball, it balances out their running game. Olmsted Falls obviously is going to try to take away the run game and have maybe the same game plan, but Amherst is going to have to really come back with a different game plan here. Like I said, Amherst lost at Olmsted Falls earlier in the year, 44-13. I'm going to guess that that's not going to be the same here, as playoff football is a little bit different. So let's see what Olmsted Falls can do. We know what they want to do, and that's going to be Owen Singleton. If you can stop him, you might have a chance here. But this should be a really good matchup, especially with Coach Thome. He's done a great job this year. Let's see what those 2 teams are going to do here the second time around.
A lot of Southwestern Conference influence here in Division 2, Region 6, Rob, as you mentioned. And a rematch. A rematch was going to be destined at some point. We're certainly getting one of them so far in Division 1 with Olmsted Falls and Amherst. And chances are pretty good you're going to get a second one with with the winner of Avon and North Olmsted taking on the winner of Olmsted Falls and Amherst. Josh, let's shift over to the Natty real quick before we get to Sean. We had talked about this game last week, and I we I don't want to say we kind of called this one, but it was kind of a cautionary tale here. With North Worldton kind of catching fire and getting confidence from beating a team like Hudson versus Wadsworth with the way they had to come back and beat Solon. That something crazy could happen, and lo and behold, it happened. And now we're at it again.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, even after that game, Coach Todd, of the head coach of Wadsworth, he was kind of like, almost a little shocked as to how his team performed and how well North Royalton performed. And he said they're going to have to kind of look at everything going into playoffs, and that's not really what you want to be doing at this time of year. You want to be playing your best ball. Just looking at Wadsworth's last 5 games. Now, granted, their competition level was high. They played Hudson, Nordonia. They had Stone Monroe Falls and Solon and North Royalton. But, they had 2 overtime victories against Nordonia Hudson. They had a solid victory against Stowe. But then they had that, like you mentioned, Ed, that come from behind win against Solon and then the loss to North Royalton. So, they were playing like game busters the first 5 games of the year. And now lately, they've run into some struggles. North Royalton, the winners of 4 in a row, including this one last week that has propelled them. You wonder for them if they, if that was their peak. You got to wonder if there's going to be kind of a hangover. Wadsworth's going to go back to the drawing board and really going to be seeking revenge in this playoff game. It's going to be a fun one for sure. Just to have North Royalton, I'm sure their fans are amped up. It's been quite a while since they've had a run like this. And Wadsworth, they always bring out strong. The playoffs are their thing. There's a target on their back now because they are a 5 seed. And, this is a conference rematch game. It just happened last week, so anything can happen in this one.
I think that, I think it's. I don't know if this could be overstated enough. Actually, with the loss of Gavin Madigan, that was
He's actually back. Yeah, he's actually back. He was back in there at safety. Didn't get much on the running on the offensive side of the ball. That was Jacob Ernest and Cooper Gray leading the way there. But you're right, Ed. And sorry to cut you off there earlier, but he was a key cog in, especially on the defensive end. So with him being back, maybe they can get back to some of the things that they've made them successful earlier in the year.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. So we're looking forward to a rematch of Suburban Natty co-champions Wadsworth and North Royalton. Sean, the Highland Hornets, you mentioned them earlier. It really has a historic season from the defensive front, and obviously from Casey Meiser in the offense. Fremont Ross is going to come into town. It's very possible a game might be played that game with the way the Highland's been playing. But talk about Highland for this game, and then what you think their outlook is for this region.
Right now, Highland is on, like you said, a historic run. I don't, and this is taking nothing from Fremont Ross. And if they want to use this as bulletin board material, congratulations, go right ahead. But the level at which Highland is playing football right now, the way that Coach Gibbons has that team focused on the process and doing what they do is impressive, to say the least. And we talk about good programs, good teams, difference there. You look at the top 3 seeds in this region, Avon, Highland, and Anthony Wayne. We could go back 5-10 years in this, and these 3 teams are there in some way, shape, or form. I think Highland takes care of business the way it's similar to the way they've been taking care of business all year. They control the clock, they run the ball, they throw the ball when they have to, and when they throw the ball, they're wildly efficient, and they play unbelievable defense. And that's what's going to propel them, I think, to what I can only describe as I'm excited to see how this plays out, because I really would love to see Avon versus Highland in a championship game, but I wouldn't be shocked if Anthony Wayne was there, because Anthony Wayne's a tough team. Going off of what Josh said, I think had Wadsworth took care of their business this week, we'd be talking about them as a 4 seed. and not North Ridgeville. I think North Ridgeville benefited from Wadsworth losing. Taking nothing away from North Ridgeville, but the only way that you see a undefeated Wadsworth team, in theory, behind North Ridgeville in the seedings would have to be that loss to North Royalton. And I think that's woken up something in the Grizzlies. Like, you've woken a sleeping bear at this point. And, you know, saying nothing, taking nothing away from that win, because North Royalton, I don't think, makes it if they don't beat Wadsworth. Or at the very least, they're up against Avon as a 16, maybe. But let's be honest. Now Wadsworth has had the taste of blood in their mouth, and they're ready because they know what's happening. I look for Wadsworth and to reestablish where they've been all year. Again, I think they've been up and down, Josh, a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, similar to the way we kind of talked about Hudson in the previous region. But I look at a team like Highland, and I'm just like, show me the flaws, because I haven't seen any this year. Defensively, they fly to the ball, they make tackles, they get great pressure on the quarterback, and you can't say enough about Casey Miser. And it's not just him. And that's what I talked about with Josh on Saturday was, you know, he had 2 touchdowns in the game, but they were distributing the ball. He was the straw that stirred the drink. But I got news for you. Evan Faust is there. Garrett Phillips is there. Dylan Borla is a good quarterback. Guys, this team is a complete team from whoever's on that field. And that's really impressive. And I got to tip my hat to Coach Gibbons and his staff for getting that team ready to play and being as dominant as they are on both sides of the ball.
It's going to be this region is and I think we're talking a lot more about this region because we're all familiar with it, and it kind of touches all of our conferences for the most part. It's a murderer's row here with Avon, Highland, Anthony Wayne as your top 3 seeds. Not to mention Avon Lake lurking, Olmsted Falls lurking. Those are teams that have traditionally had good success in this region against teams that are not in the Southwestern Conference. Wadsworth coming down from Division One. North Ridgeville, we're going to see if they can sustain success in the playoffs. It's just this is a very, very, very tough region to get out of, and it's been Avon's region until someone's been able to beat them. And I think their depth and they're going to get tested this region. There's no questions asked about that. And their depth got tested last year when Nolan Good went out. And they were still able to win the region. So for me, it's Avon's to lose. But I think the gap is getting more narrow as the seasons go on. Especially a program like Highland that's continuing to grow in numbers, and you know, Coach Gibbons and Coach Elder, both with a Mount Union pedigree, they know how to build a program. They've seen it, they lived it, and you know, they're almost becoming mirror image of each other. Now it's just for Highland, it's just they need to get over the hump and beat Avon. And Coach Gibbons would tackle me if he hears me talking about Avon already. So I'm not going to. It's one game at a time until we get there. So I agree with you, Sean. I think Fremont Ross is going to get a nice ride down here, and they may not go back in one piece, to say the least. All right, that is Division 2, Region 6. Let's shift over to Division 3, Region 9. Sean will take this one as well because he's got the only 2 teams from our coverage in there. Aurora and Talmadge. Let's see what you got here, Sean.
Yeah, you know, for Talmadge, I love the fact that they've kind of got lost a little bit in the season, a couple of down games, but then found their way and they're rounding into form in the right time. They are, you know, winning 3 straight. You know, again, Highland and Aurora, those games are what they are. Talmadge is a good team, and I talked about this in the beginning of the year. They're my dark horse team because I like the way this offense, when clicking, is unstoppable. Brian Lovelace is a good quarterback. They got good running backs. They got a really good offensive line. Where they tend to struggle, and where they struggled a little bit, was establishing the run early and then sticking with it. In the games they got behind, I think they tended to go into the pat, but become one-dimensional a little too early. Defensively, they have a little bit of trouble in the secondary and the back end. not terrible trouble, but they kind of get caught looking for, especially with run support. But I think, they had to win to get in the playoffs. Congratulations, they did. But they got to play sharp. And, we talk about programs in the state of Ohio, and Chardon is a brand, just like Glenville's a brand, Avon's a brand, St. Edward, St. Ignatius. Chardon's is that. And it's going to take Talmadge playing a perfect game on the road in a hostile environment, I think, to beat a Chardon team. I look for Talmadge to go early and, try and punch him in the face and bloody their nose early and make this an ugly dogfight, because I think that's a way that Talmadge can win this game. So that's going to be a tall task for Talmadge, but congratulations to them. They've been good all year. Looking at Aurora versus Bedford, not having Lucas Manderbach available is huge. And I'm not going to sit there and say it's not. But I also, as I was walking off the field Friday night, and I had an opportunity, just by happenstance, I ended up walking off with most of the Aurora team. There's only one way out of Aurora and out of the field, and I had to wait for the team to get out. And I saw a team that looked disappointed, but I saw a team that looked like, okay, we lost this game. We can do this. And not just that, but the support of that community, and saying, not just to your stars, to offensive linemen, to seniors, hey, get this team ready to go. Get this team ready to go. Highland is a historically good defense. And to get, and not have your best weapon available against a team like that is tough. But Aurora has good weapons around them. Xavier Board is a good running back. He's a what I call not a home run hitting running back. If he gets going, look out. That kid's got talent. Brewer is a good quarterback. They got good receivers. They ran into a buzzsaw that was Highland. Okay. But let's not forget their body of work all year. They've won close games. They've won blowouts. They've had shutouts. They've needed a win, a touchdown late to win. Aurora's been tested, and now they've gotten something that I think they're going to look back and say, okay, it wasn't great at the time, but it's beneficial to them, and that is we lost at the end of the season, and we took that loss and used that as fuel to get us through the postseason. I think Aurora comes out and beats Bedford and does make a deep run in this region. But again, looking at Ursuline, looking at Gilmore, looking at CVCA, and, teams like Chardon, those are teams that when you run into them, they've been here too. They know what this is about. So, I think Aurora gets the win. I think Talmadge is going to have to play perfect, but, really excited to see this particular region last, because Aurora is a perennial team every single year. They're one of those programs. They are in the pantheon of great programs.
Yeah, absolutely. They've won the state championship before. Coach Mahalik has been there for many years. He knows how to navigate a playoff run as good as anybody in this region. Ursuline's going to take on Cheney. That's a backyard brawl in Youngstown. Gilmore, very, very good very, very good school to football. They're taking on Akron East. Akron East is probably the best Akron public school in football. They're no slouch. CVCA, undefeated in Pac-7 play. They were not eligible for the conference championship because they are leaving to join the North Coast Conference next year. They're taking on University School. Those are like teams, really there. Maple Heights, I think, is a wild card here. Because they had a tough loss to Lorraine for the conference championship in the LEL, but they have athletes. They have a strong arm quarterback. They have athletes all over the place. They have a championship pedigree head coach in Shaq Washington. Maple Heights is certainly no slouch. Villa Angela St. Joe's has one of the best players in the country on their team, Bo Jackson. It'll be an interesting game against Hawken. Geneva Madison up in the Ashtabula area. We don't really get to see these teams really much at all. But Geneva is really good. They're 9-1. They've already defeated Madison, albeit a close game. So there's a lot of close games that I think we're going to be coming up on here. And I'm with you, Sean. I think Aurora's going to get the Duke over Bedford. And if Talmadge can establish the run early and play from ahead, I think Chardon will have a tough time catching them. All right, let's shift over to Division 3, Region 10. And, you guys see the boogeyman that is Toledo Central Catholic happens to live in this region. And it will be their region unless someone beats them. And there are some teams that I think they're equipped to do that. So we'll kind of stop from there. Now, Rob, you do have a team in this conference too here, so let's talk about that. Midview, the number 10 seed, is going to travel to Parma to take on Padua. Dior Jones and Midview against Roderick Love and Padua. Those are two dynamic players for those teams. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, Midview, a decent draw. Padua's lost 3 out of 4, but then you look at their schedule, and all of a sudden that North Royalton win away by Padua, 35-28, doesn't look very bad, and you know that they can compete. They're a solid program, 5-5 this year, but Midview's 5-5, so they've had some ups and downs, kind of like Midview has. Midview needs to get Dior Jones going. He's a playmaker. He returns punts. He's a solid wide receiver that can really spread the field. But Michael Passarello Jr., the running back, and Michael McMahon, another running back, they have good running backs there. They need to have a balanced attack out there and hopefully get some kind of offense against Padua, because I think Midview has a solid defense. They're bent but don't break. I think Coach Armstrong has this team playing at a really high level. And this year it has been a little ups and downs, and they've also lost 3 out of their last 4. But, they also played teams like North Ridgeville, Avon, and Olmsted Falls with their lone win coming against Elyria. So they've played some tough teams here to finish out the season. They competed at a pretty high level, and they're looking to get back into the playoffs and show what they can do. But I think it's a very balanced matchup for Midview there at the 7-10.
Agreed. I think it's a great matchup for both teams. Midview, what you notice in their schedules is that neither team had a victory that was over a team that was over 500. In Midview, and you can argue that Padua has the worst loss by losing to a 3-6 Holy Name. My only counter to that is that's a rivalry game, and you have to throw the records out when that happens. So, not counting that, Padua's played some tough teams. Perkins, they played Sandusky, and you're right, that win over North Royalton looks pretty good right now. Whereas Midview, right now, their best win is over North Olmsted, which that turned out to be a better win than anyone ever imagined when the season started. So. Evenly matched teams here, so that's gonna be a really good game. Sean, rematch here of Copley and Revere. These two teams had an absolute war the first time they played, and Copley got the Duke 47-35. That game was also at Copley, so we have another rematch, and it was only 2 weeks ago. So what do you think? What do you think if anything changes here in the second battle here?
I think for Revere, I think obviously the revenge will be on their mind, because I think they felt like they had that game until, late in that game. But I also look at how that game played out, and where Gabriel Mansell really established his abilities for Copley. And I saw a little bit of that when I went and saw Cuyahoga Falls versus Copley. And, new stadium, big hype train there. But man, that guy can play. He's elusive. He's got a really strong arm, and he has an understanding of where his players are going to be. He's also a leader, and and what I mean by that is even when they were up and they had that game in control, Gabriel Mansell was doing the stuff that leaders do, hyping up his team. I'm talking guys that were probably the backups they were putting into that game. He was their biggest cheerleader. That's the type of guy you want to have, as they say in the foxhole. So we got on one side Gabriel Mansell and the slew of players for Copley. On the other side, we have Luke Ferris for Revere. And Luke Ferris is a guy who, when I saw them play Aurora, he got frustrated because Aurora's defense was giving him fits, but he rebounded and he made that game. He made mistakes, but he's been their leader for the last couple of years, and I think this is the type of stage that he will show up and show out on. I'm looking for this game to be, a really entertaining game. I think it has the potential to be just similar to what the game was 2 weeks ago. But again, it's hard to beat a team twice, especially when it was that tight of a game, but I'm looking for performances out of this game and players and stats and great plays. I think that's what's going to lead the charge here. So I'm definitely thinking, we saw this last week. We talked about this. This was the likely breakdown, right, of what was going to happen. Copley or Revere. It's just a matter of, is it going to be in Revere or is it going to be in Copley? And we always talk about 8-9's a coin flip. And man, I'm interested to see which side that coin comes up, because I think that's going to be a fun game on Friday.
I agree. I'm looking forward to this game too. I want to see. I want to see what Revere can do specifically here. We know what Copley has a pretty good playoff pedigree over many years, but we haven't really seen Revere have a whole lot of success in the playoffs. And now they're a pretty decent seed. They snuck in last year as a 15, and they didn't have the best of shots here. But this year they have a good look at it, and the reward for both Copley and Revere is going to be a battle against Toledo Central Catholic. So I think this is going to be a war to see who goes up to Toledo in 2 weeks. As far as the Cleveland West Conference is concerned, we have kind of a rekindling of old Great Lakes Conference rivals. Rocky River will host Holy Name. Holy Name's only 3-6, but I mean, when you get down to these lower regions, if you can get a victory over a Division II team, that counts for that much more, because now you're playing up and getting more points than you would normally would. Holy Name, their 3 victories are against Niles McKinley, Marion Franklin, and 5-5 Padua. That Padua game probably got them into the playoffs with how this is shaking out. But they don't have a victory over a team that's over 500. I'm not. I think they lost a lot on the cupboard from last few years from their major runs where they were making it to the state semifinals. Rocky River, as long as they're healthy, as long as Ryan Taylor is the engine that makes that go. But they have good support with Josh Mammers, Orrin Grieve, Cam Balkowski, Joey DeSalvo, just to name a few. Their defense plays tough. Mammers is a star on the defensive end as well. Coach, again, these two teams know each other from their GLC battles, so I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of surprise there. So I think a lot of it just comes down to the health of Ryan Taylor, junior quarterback Ryan Taylor. We've seen him him and the Pirates do tremendous things over the course of the year. They have a couple hiccups the last few weeks, but you hope that that's just in preparation for the playoff run here. Buckeye is going to take on Norwalk. I think Buckeye is going to do some damage here against Norwalk. Buckeye, since they lost to Amherst, has been an absolute mission. They haven't taken any prisoners. Their closest game in the conference was to North Olmsted. So I mean, and that was when North Olmsted was still struggling to find the way on offense. So it's a bigger team that they. The bigger teams are what they tend to struggle against. When Amherst and North Olmsted both being Division II teams. Toledo Central Catholic is a Division III team only in name. I think we know that they are much better, much bigger than that. So I think Buckeyes going to get the Duke here. You also have Maumee and Lexington, Benedictine and Tiffin Columbian. Tiffin Columbian ended Buckeye season a few years ago. They come in as a 14 seed. Benedictine is in one of those situations where they're in a good cycle right now. They're a tough team. If Buckeye and Benedictine end up playing each other, that's not going to be a gimme for either team. I think that's going to be one of the better matchups here. And then, take your shot against Toledo Central Catholic. I don't think there's any doubt that Toledo Central Catholic is going to make it to the regional championship. No offense to Rocky River and Coach Wells. If there's anyone that could probably take them down, it'd probably be them. But that winner of Buckeye and Benedictine, if those two teams get to that point, that'll be a tough one. I do want to do a shout out to Bowling Green. Brunswick High School alumni Sean Kiss is the head coach at Bowling Green. So congratulations to the Bobcats and Coach Kiss for making the playoffs. They will travel to Defiance in round 1. Last and certainly not least, Division 4 Region 14. The only team we have here is Bay Village. They will be taking on Cloverleaf from Lodi, Medina County team, the team that we're pretty familiar with here. I think this is a team of mirror image team, a matchup of mirror images here. They both like to run the ball. Bay will run the ball as much as they possibly can. Cloverleaf can throw the ball if they need to. They have the Gray brothers. Ethan Gray went out last week in their battle against Streetsboro. We'll see if he's back this week for Coach Voorhees. If he is, I think Cloverleaf can give Bay some trouble here. Now for Bay though, Coach Rutt's got Rocco Reditario and Charlie Rogers on the offensive end to switch on and off. Rocco is a power runner, but if he can't break away if he needs to. Charlie Rogers is the speedster. Michael Farrell, he doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes when he throws the ball. They just don't let him throw the ball very much. This is not how their offense is set up. So I think it's going to be who wins the helmet war, who's going to win on the offensive and defensive line is going to really tell who's going to win that battle there. As far as the favorites in this region, it's going to be Sandusky Perkins. Sandusky Perkins is phenomenal. They are one of the best teams in all regions here, all divisions. They are 9-1. Their only loss is to Edison. But they've they destroyed Rocky River. They destroyed Padua. They don't normally play close games. They do some damage. So right now, personally, I think it's Sandusky Perkins to lose. Clearview has a pretty good quarterback. Ontario Shelby, I don't know much about them, but I think it's gonna be Sandusky Perkins. If you could beat Sandusky Perkins, you will have done something that's really, really special. All right, that is going to conclude it for our coverage of the Week 10 recaps and our preview of all the regions. I promise you the future episodes will not be this long. We had a lot to talk about today, and our recaps will continue to dwindle as teams get eliminated. But we will have the opportunity to have some more student athletes and maybe some coaches on over the course of the next few weeks. So we're excited about that. We were talking offline before the show started about where some potential games we were going to go to. Are we comfortable talking about that now?
I think so.
All right, let's roll. Go ahead, guys.
All right, well, I guess I'll take the reins. I'll go first, and I'm going to head to Padua in Bruins country, where the Midview Middies take on the Padua Bruins in a 10-7 matchup. Both teams 5-5, and I think are pretty similar. I think this could be a really, really good game, and I'm excited to travel out to Padua, first time being there, and see how these two teams are going to match up.
Excellent.
Next.
Well, guys, when you shift from one rivalry to another, I'm going to be joining Sean's side in the American division, an American playoff rivalry. These two teams, we haven't covered this rivalry so many times, but I can't wait for Friday night because these are two programs that met a couple weeks ago, and now they get to play each other again, which you don't see that happen twice in that. But the last time Copley had a home playoff game was 2015. The last time they won a playoff game was 2005. So it is going to be an amazing atmosphere in the new stadium. I can't wait to get there. Sean said it's unbelievable. I can't wait to get down there. Versus an 8-9 matchup, the Revere Minutemen taking on the Copley Indians. And I just can't wait for this one to go down. Let's see if Revere can kind of bounce back and get their chance this time against Copley and Gabe Manziel. That's going to be the biggest keys going into this one, an American playoff rivalry game. I can't wait to be there Friday night.
Well, yeah, it also took all Mr. Football from Ohio, Only Carter, to win that playoff game all the way back in 2005. So that's that's how long it's been. To your point, Noah.
Wow.
Well, I will be going to one of the few, maybe the only,
champion versus champion rematch. I'll be heading to Wadsworth as the 12th-seeded North Royalton Bears will take on the 5th-seeded Wadsworth Grizzlies in a rematch of last week's epic encounter between the Grizzlies and the Bears. Only one member of the bear species will survive this matchup. Is it going to be the regular bear or the grizzly? We'll see what happens. It's going to be fun going back to Wadsworth. Haven't been there all year, actually, so looking forward to heading back.
I love the playoffs at Wadsworth. I think I went to a game. It was a Wadsworth and Sylvania Southview. That game was one of the funnest games I've seen that I covered in Wadsworth. That's just Art Wright Stadium is just a fantastic place to watch a game.
Indeed.
Well, gentlemen,
Here
I think we all know
Here
that I am a
Don't say
former
it.
backup offensive lineman for the Vandalia Butler Aviators, who, by the way, are also in the playoffs.
You're
Division
going?
II.
You're going there?
No, I'd love to. I really would, but unfortunately, fortunately, I get to go watch what I will consider Lineman Bowl. If you're there to watch receivers catch beautiful passes and quarterbacks throw the ball, this ain't for you, baby. I'm going to watch the trenches. I'm going to Bay Village to watch Cloverleaf and Bay Village lock up.
Whoa.
And if all goes right, that game is over by 8:45. And it's going to be a 10-7 final.
Watch out, Bay. And watch out, Cloverleaf. Sean might get on the field and try to push you around.
And I'll tell you
Watch
this right
it.
now. I'll tell you, I'm including the bands at halftime, who, by the way, all year have got to be fantastic. Bands have been awesome this year. Give the shout out to the bands. They work really hard. Absolutely. But I'm excited to go to Bay Village. My first time this year going to Bay Village. Check out that run game and really see, if they even – I'm going to count the number of passes thrown and just total and see if it equates to the amount of passes that Noah's going to see in the Revere Copley game. So I'm excited. I'll be at Bay Village walking around. It's going to be cold, boys. It's going to be cold. Make sure you bring your coats. It's going to be chilly.
That's awesome. Memorial Stadium in Bays, one of my favorites. Definitely in my top 5. I hope the people in the back in the north end zone have their fire pit going in the patio. They're out there chilling, watching the game. I
thought I saw you hanging out with them that one game. I wondered why
I cannot confirm nor deny that, my friend.
Your highlight video wasn't getting uploaded, and then you took a picture of your feet by the fire, and pretty impressive.
Hey man, we have to make sure we really say hello to all of our fans and really express to them how special they are to us.
That's right.
All right, let's end this because it's getting on my bedtime.
Marathon edition.
Yes, it is. All right, just to recap here, we have if you want Division III Region 10 covered, we got you. 3 games in Division III Region 10. So we have Midview and Padua. Rob's going to be at that game in Parma. Copley taking on Revere, a rematch in the American. Noah's going to be there. Sean is going to be at Bay to see Cloverleaf, Medina County team, take on Bay. That's going to be Sean doing that at Bay. And Josh, Battle of Natty Champions, North Royalton versus Wadsworth.
Oh.
2 quick shout-outs. 2 more quick shout-outs real quick for friends of mine. I enjoy talking about their kids' successes on the field. Patriot gets another big win in the Northern Virginia realm. They won 42-7 this week. So they are well on their way to a playoff berth. And one of my good friends who happens to live in the Cincinnati area, his son, Cade Wojinks, hit a PK to win a district semifinal match for Little Miami over Fairfield in the district semifinals. It kept going back and forth. He was the 9th shooter, and he was the one who was able to get it in to win the game for Little Miami. So
nice.
Cade Weinich. His last name looks like Wojinks, but it's Weinich. I promise you that. So congratulations to Cade and Little Miami there. They did have a tough one against Cincinnati St. X in the district finals, but nonetheless, really always good to celebrate other student athletes out there. And so good luck to all your teams out there. Good luck to Vandalia, Sean, and everyone in the Sports on Tap realm and coverage area. For Rob Troutman, Sean Duffy, Josh Duffy, and Noah Jacobson, my name is Ed Dick. Enjoy the first round of the playoffs, and we will see you on the other side.
Go Browns.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.